Hello dear students, good morning, welcome back once again. So today we will discuss about second law of thermodynamics. And if you can remember during discussion of first law of thermodynamics, I mentioned that is it has some limitations. And these limitations of first law of thermodynamics leads to the rising of second law of thermodynamics. So what are these limitations? So let's recapitulate about the limitations of first law of thermodynamics in a nutshell. Now during discussion of first law of thermodynamics, I mentioned that is whenever we need to do some work, we need some heat energy. It means using heat energy, we can perform some work. I give so many examples. And whenever we do some work, that is mechanical energy, some heat energy is produced. It means to get some work done, some heat energy is required, and to get some heat energy, some work done is required. So in this sense, both work done or mechanical energy and heat energy are proportional to each other or equivalent to each other. But what are the limitations? Limitations are that whenever while using some heat energy we perform some work, we are not sure, we don't know whether the entire amount of heat energy is entirely converting into the entirely work or not. Or whenever we do some work and some heat energy is produced, whether the entire amount of work done is converted into entirely heat energy or not. 100% of heat energy is converted to 100% of work done or not, or 100% of work done is capable to produce 100% of heat energy or not. This is one limitation. Okay. Then whenever you do some amount of work done, some heat is produced. So how much amount of work done is going to produce how much amount of heat energy, or vice versa. Okay, we cannot get any sort of information about this from first law of thermodynamics. First law of thermodynamics is totally unable or tells us about this information. And also we also know that is when a hot and a cold body are kept in contact with each other, it always flows from hot body to cold body. But if heat transfers from cold body to hot body, it also obeys law of conservation of energy. It doesn't violate law of conservation of energy, because whatever the energy which transfer from hot body to cold body, then that energy will convert from hot to cold. So total number of energy will be conserved. So that's why it doesn't violate the law of conservation of energy. But whether it is possible or not, first law of thermodynamics is totally unable to tell us. Now suppose whenever we hold a cup of hot tea, isn't it? If anybody holds a cup of hot tea, isn't it? Then what will be the result? And gradually what will happen? Gradually our hand gradually becomes hotter and the cup will gradually becomes getting colder. It is the practical process, isn't it? It is the general process. But the opposite thing will never happen. It means it is not possible that our hand will gradually getting colder, isn't it? And the cup will gradually getting hotter. It is not possible. Opposite thing is not possible. So this is one kind of limitation. It means whether a particular phenomenon or incident will happen or not, we cannot come to this conclusion using first law of thermodynamics. Whether in this case, this is the opposite thing. This is the hand becomes gradually hotter and the cup of tea or the cup will gradually become getting colder. Why? Because the cup of tea is hotter, so it will reject heat. Our hand will absorb heat from the hot cup of tea. So that's why gradually our hand will become hotter, and by rejecting heat, the cup will gradually become colder. Opposite thing will not happen. So it means there is always a decision, a commitment, whether a particular event will happen or not. So this we cannot take. So first law of thermodynamics is totally unable. Cannot tell us about this. So whether a particular event will happen or takes place or not, we need second law of thermodynamics. As I mentioned, now when any second part of any serial or any web series or any movie is required, when its first part is incomplete, just like to be continued. So these limitations are the key to the rising of second law of thermodynamics. Now, second law of thermodynamics has no any particular law. These limitations are in the form of this law. Clear? So, say there is no definite second law of thermodynamics. Okay. Now, related to the limitations, these are regarded as the second law of thermodynamics based on some statement. So, first statement is the Kelvin-Planck statement. The Kelvin-Planck statement is based on one of the limitation of first law of thermodynamics. That I told that whenever some heat energy, by using heat energy, whenever you do some work, we don't know whether 100% of heat energy is totally converted into entirely work or not. So this is Kelvin-Planck statement. It means it is impossible to convert all amount of heat. It means whenever we do some work using heat energy. Okay, reverse is also true, isn't it? That is all heat. It is impossible to transfer all amount of heat entirely into work. Reverse is also true. It means it is also impossible to convert entire amount of work into entire amount of heat energy. But whenever heat energy is used to perform some work, the Kelvin-Planck statement states that it is impossible to transfer all amount of heat entirely into work. It means there is no machine, there is no self-acting machine can convert all amount of heat entirely into work done. Now, what is the example? Perfect example is the heat engine. Now, heat engine is a device which, based on the principle of, it works on the principle of it converts the heat energy into mechanical energy. That is mechanical work done. So how it works? It means using heat energy. So using heat energy, it performs some work. Okay, and then he transfers rest of the heat energy into surrounding. We may take the example of, it means any kind of machine. It is just like the example of heat engine, isn't it? It has some source. That is, one is a hot body which is called source and a cold body which is called sink, which we are going to discuss in the next video. Okay, so it means any kind of device which transfers heat energy into mechanical work done. Okay, this statement is applicable to that particular device. It means no self-acting machine can convert, or it is impossible to convert all amount of heat entirely into work done. Okay, because this is just like energy degradation, isn't it? It's just like the glowing of the bulb. Using electrical energy, it is giving some light, but entire electrical energy is not converting into light energy, because some amount of energy it is losing, isn't it? That is dissipate of energy in the form of heat energy. As I said, that is efficiency of everything is not of no machine is just like 100%. We also discussed about the pulley. Some amount of, meanwhile, in between the journey, some amount of work, some amount of energy is dissipated, either in the form of heat, most probably in the form of heat, or in the form of some external work done. It is impossible. That is 100% of input energy equals to 100% of work into output energy. Input energy never equals to total output energy. It is only possible in case of ideal machine, as we have already learned, isn't it? So it means this is only possible in case of what can I say, the imaginary condition, in ideal condition. But in practical, in practice, on this terrestrial world, it is impossible. Whenever you give some input, some amount of energy is dissipated in the form of work done. Then the output is slightly less. Okay, so that's why no self-acting machine can convert all amount of heat entirely into totally work. Or we may say that it is impossible to transfer all heat, all amount of heat totally entirely into work. Okay, so this is heat energy. The example is heat energy. We may take the example of electrical iron, or in case of the process of the cooking. During cooking, all these cases generally heat energy is generally transferred into mechanical work done, isn't it? That is, heat energy generally, using heat energy, it performs some work. Then rest of the entire amount of heat energy is not totally utilized, because some of the heat energy is generally spread or expend or spent in the atmosphere. So obviously, in each and every cases, isn't it, the entire amount of the fuel, isn't it? When we ride, in case of automobiles, the entire amount of the all chemical energy of the fuel doesn't convert into entire amount of mechanical energy. Some part of the energy is lost, isn't it? Isn't it lost in the form of heat energy or in the form of during work done with the friction, isn't it, of the tools or the tires and the roads. So the engine does some work. So the entire amount, so the total chemical energy which is stored inside the fuel doesn't convert totally into mechanical because engine does some work, because there is always some friction with the road, isn't it? Then the tools, then the engine has to do some work. So it is applicable to each and every device. Okay, it is applicable to each and every device. That is, it is impossible for any self-acting machine can convert the total heat energy to what? It is never possible. Only possible in case of ideal condition. Clear? Next statement is another. Next statement is another limitations. Okay. Now, in the last line, I mentioned that is heat always flows from hot body to cold body. But is it possible to flow heat from cold body to hot body? Which was one of the most important, the inability of the first law of thermodynamics. It says the second law of thermodynamics, which is another statement, which is called Clausius statement. It says that it is impossible unless we use some external agency. It means it is impossible to transfer heat from a body of low temperature or a cold body to hot body without expending some work done, without taking up the external aid. The opposite meaning is that it is true, that it is possible. As I said, heat energy, if it flows from cold body to hot body, it doesn't violate law of conservation of energy. So that's why it is possible. If it did violate the law of conservation of energy, then in that case anyhow it would not have been possible. But since it doesn't violate the law of conservation of energy, so somehow it is possible. How? By doing some external work done by some external agency. It means the transfer of heat from hot body to cold body is always possible, since it doesn't violate the law of conservation of energy. It supports, but it cannot happen automatically by itself. No self-acting machine can transfer heat from a cold body to hot body without expending some work by an external aid. It means some external agency, some external device or machine is required. Okay, only in that case it is possible. Otherwise, it is not possible. So let's explain it through a very easy example. Now you can see this diagram. You can see there are two vessels which are interconnected with each other, which I am going to explain through the flow of water. Now you can clearly see in the vessel A or the container A, though the volume of the water is less, but the height level of water is high, isn't it? Whereas in vessel B, the amount of water, it means the volume of the vessel B is greater than that of A. That's why it contains much amount of water. Because of its higher volume, it contains much amount of water than that of A, but its level or height is lower than that of A. So obviously, the flow of direction of water will be just like from A to B, isn't it? As you can see. How long it will be continued? So the direction of flow of water from vessel A to B will be continued till their level will be same. Once their level will become same, the flow of water will become stopped. Very easy, because pressure difference will be same. This is happening because of equalization of pressure difference. Physics always follows the law of equilibrium. It is also applicable in case of flow of heat, in case of blowing of air from high pressure region to low pressure region. So always from high potential to low potential. When they reaches the equilibrium position, flowing stops, isn't it? Because always from high level to low level, isn't it? When there is no difference, the flowing will be stopped, whether in case of flow of water, the flow of air, or the flow of heat. So how long will they continue? Until their level becomes same. So suppose their level becomes same. So when the level becomes same, the water will not flow back further. Now in this condition, it is not possible for the water itself to flow from B to A. It is not possible to flow because their level of the pressure dependence is the same. Now how is it possible to keep continuing this process? Now you can see there is a pump is attached. It means now if we make some arrangement, or if we can join, or if we can attach a pump, you can see in the two vessels, so that through which we can send the water from B to A, then this process will become continuing. This process will keep on carry on. So you can see, using this external aid, it does some external work done. This is some external, isn't it? By some external aid. It means if the pump were not attached, it would not be possible for the water to flow itself from B to A. So now, if we can, using a pump, and we can fetch the water from B to A, this process will still continue. Though their level is same, still the flow of water from A to B will keep continue. How is it possible? Only that is in the pump. It means we need to do some external work done by some external agent, and the external agent is the pump. Otherwise, it is not possible. This is nothing but Clausius statement. So that's why I said, since it doesn't violate law of conservation of energy, since there is always a gap, isn't it? Always a true statement. If there was no possibility of obeying the law of conservation of energy, since it obeys law of conservation of energy, that's why it is possible. That's why this creation is possible, isn't it? Since there was an opportunity chance, so that's why it is possible. Again, I am saying, if it would violate the law of conservation of energy, it would never be possible. Never be possible. Since it's possible, so that's why by doing some external trick, pump, we can do so. It is possible. What is the example? Refrigerator. It means here this example of the Kelvin Planck statement is example is heat engine. Heat engine based on this works on this statement, whereas refrigerator works on this Clausius statement. Okay. Also, we will discuss about refrigerator in detail in the next video also, which is what is refrigerator. Now you need to know this is nothing but reverse heat engine. It means its working principle is just opposite to heat engine. Heat energy takes it from hot body, do some work, then the rest of the heat energy it transferred to the heat, to the atmosphere, which I have told you to assume just like the using of the electrical iron or during the process of the cooking. Refrigerator is the opposite. It means it will take the heat from the colder body, do some work, and then transfer the rest amount of heat to the surroundings, which we are going to discuss about later. Clear? So these are nothing but the two statements, or we can say these are the two conditions or laws of second law of thermodynamics. As I am saying, first law of thermodynamics has a specific law, whereas second law of thermodynamics has no specific or definite law. It based on two statements. It works on the two limitations, which are nothing but the limitations of first law of thermodynamics. So now let's discuss about the different topic, that is reversible process and irreversible process. Now it is very clear from the meaning that is a reversible process. Isn't it? Reversible process means any process or any event which can be reversed. Isn't it? Now suppose any body or any system is at first at the state A, then in the thermal state. Okay. So in the thermal state, any body or any system is at first at state A. Then after absorbing some heat and doing some work done, it reaches to state B. Now if it is possible to come back to the same state at each and every stage, isn't it? From initially the body or the system was at state A, then after absorbing some heat energy and doing some work, each and every stage, which are indicating, I am indicating by the dots, it reaches to B. Now if the body or the system can return back to the same state, and each and every step what it did in the previous state from reaching A to B, and if it follows the same, that is same in the each and every stage, if it absorbs the same amount of heat, doing the same amount of work, it means whatever it did in the first process, in the direct process, if it follows exactly the equal process but in opposite, then in that case the process is called reversible process, isn't it? But it would be equal in magnitude but opposite in direction. So if in any process, if any body or a system reaches in the direct process in the first method or in the direct in the first direction or in the direct process, then if it follows the same each and every condition in each every layer, every stage, it follows exactly equal but in opposite direction and it returns back to its original position or state, then it is called reversible process. There are so many examples, but we can understand through some easy example. Okay, in our daily life, as you can see, ice to water. It means if we take a 0 degree centigrade of ice, isn't it? Then if it absorbs, isn't it? By absorbing some heat energy, that is, we know that is latent heat of fusion of ice is 80 calorie per gram. Then after absorbing 80 calorie heat, the 0 degree centigrade of ice will immediately convert into 0 degree centigrade of water. Then if that amount of latent heat is abstracted, isn't it? If it is loose, if it is released, lose that amount of heat energy, immediately it will convert to ice, isn't it? So this is nothing but a reversible process. Then the conservative force. Conservative force means we have already learned, that is, if we throw somebody with some initial velocity, then that kinetic energy it will attain the maximum height. Then that amount of kinetic energy will be stored within the body as a gravitational potential energy. And after attaining the maximum height, then with that gravitational potential energy which was stored from the initial kinetic energy, it will again drops down to the ground. So kinetic energy into gravitational potential energy, then gravitational potential energy will convert into kinetic energy, it will fall down. It means total work done is 0. So whatever the work done is, it will be retrieved, isn't it? It will just return back. So this is nothing but, so any process or any work done just under conservative process, it may be treated as reversible. It means if it is possible to retrieve or restore its original position, then it is called reversible process. So though we are saying that these processes are reversible, since from ice to water, then again we are getting back the ice or the body which we throw in the against gravity, then again it returns back. Though this seems to be reversible processes, but always there is some loss of energy in the meanwhile during this journey. Because as I said, that each and every stage, whatever it does from A to B, it will have to follow the same without losing any energy. It means there should have been no dissipation of energy. It means it is only possible in case of absence of any dissipative force, any resistive force, opposing force, just like in absence of frictional force, viscosity, elasticity. So it means exactly what is happening, 100% of input to output, then from 100% output to 100% input, 100% from A to B, then from B to A 100%. There could not have been any sort of, any grain of loss of energy, any amount of, not only 0.00001%, 100% to 100%, again going by 100% to 100%, which you know is absolutely impossible in practice, because this is only possible in case of ideal condition. So that's why reversible process is also just like practical machine or other, isn't it? It is just like an imaginary concept or an ideal concept. So what are the conditions? There should not have been any dissipation of energy. Okay, any resistive forces, it should only possible, it has to take place in absence of any resistive, opposing or damping forces. Clear? Now moves on to irreversible process. Irreversible process means if it follows only single direction, not bidirectional, not unidirectional. It means it is only unidirectional, not both directional. Isn't it? Reversible process is, what can I say, the bidirectional, isn't it? But it is unidirectional. That means if it reaches from A to B, then it will never return back to its original position. It is impossible to return back to its original position. So many examples. And then that is the, what can I say, the burning of candle or coal. It is just turned into ashes. Then in that cases, then the opposite thing is absolutely impossible. It is absolutely preposterous, impossible to get back the hard coal, okay, or the candle from this melted wax or this ashes. Though it is impossible to get back the coal from the ashes, but sometimes it is possible to get back the candle by the amount of the melted wax. But in that case, the size of the candle, if we generally from the melted wax, isn't it? During the first process, if we take a candle and if it lights, if it glows, when it glows or when it kindle, then the amount of the stored weighted wax is very less. And with that stored melted wax, if we want to regenerate the candle, the size has been very less, isn't it? We don't get that amount of volume or size of the candle, will be very small. Most of the most of the carbon or the materials are generally vanishes in the surroundings in the form of carbon dioxide or carbon monoxide. So this is irreversible process. The non-conservative force also, since conservative force, any work done or any phenomenon under conservative force, if it is reversible, the non-conservative force obviously irreversible. It means whenever if we pull any suitcase or push or pull any suitcase and then from A to B, so it means in the first case we will have to do some work against friction. Then again it seems that again we have just restored we have just come back or restored. We have made the suitcase to reach its original state, but no, again we have to do some negative work done, that is against frictional force. So this is minus W, again minus W. It will never be minus W plus W, that is 0. First, if we push from this A to B, if we push something, then in the first case we will have to do some work against frictional force. Again, if we push back in the opposite direction to restore its original position, again we have to do the work done against frictional force. So this is irreversible process. Okay. So this is the reversible process, which each and everything just restored back to its original position, that is reversible process. There are so many examples. You may just think, okay, which is not possible now, okay, to mention each and everything. Just think, and you can just you can just discover so many examples of reversible process and irreversible process. Just think, okay, you will get so many examples. Hope you have understood. See you in next video.